Hello everyone, welcome back to Hexcells. Last time we completed puzzles 1-1 through 3-5, and now we're going to continue on with 4-1. If you missed the first part, you can essentially imagine that this is Minesweeper, but with hexagons and some extra rules included. So here is another rule. A number inside with curly brackets tells you that blue cells are consecutive. So this 3 here has 5 tiles around it, so 3 of them will be blue, but what we can deduce from this is that the center one must be blue, because it's either going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. Over here there are 4, and so we can do the same kind of thing. We either know it's going to be a band of 4 starting from the left, or a band of 4 starting from the right. Now, it must be a band of 4 starting from the left, because if it started from the right, we would invalidate the 1. And then we can eliminate that as well. Now, over here, we can see that this 4 is only connected to 4 cells, so it must be those 4. And then if the curly brackets denotes a line, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. And we can get rid of those. Oh, lots of curly brackets. Okay, what do we know? We know that when you have 3 cells touching a 2, the middle one must be blue, and then it'll either match the top or the bottom. Equally, when you have 3 cells touching a 3, you must have the middle one. 5 cells touching a 3 must be the middle one. 5 cells touching a 4 must be the middle one and the 2 next to it, because then if we take the lower left one we would make 4, or the lower right one we would make 4. We just might not necessarily know which it is yet. However, we've now solved for this 2, having it touch exactly 2 blue cells, so we can eliminate those. 0 is easy enough. 1 also, and with curly brackets around this 3 means 1, 2, 3. Now, this 1 is touching 1 underneath it already, so we can eliminate the tile above it. And if this curly 4 here means these 4 must be touching, then we have 1 on the left and 1 on the right with 2 in the center, and that solves for that. This 1 is already touching a blue cell, so we can eliminate this, which solves our 3 and our 2. What else do we have going on? This 3 here. The 4 told us that the 3 tiles across the top of it had to be blue, and with the 3 knowing that the 1 in the center of 5 had to be blue. Now that the 3 is touching 2 different blue cells, we can finish off its chain and eliminate those. That also finishes off the chain of 4, so we can eliminate that. Then this 2 is only touching 2 other cells. Then lastly, we currently know that this 3 is touching 2, and so we can't now know if it's going to be the one on the left or the one on the right, but we can eliminate the one above it. And with that extra piece of information, we can figure it out is the one on the left. Not a whole lot going on here. We'll start with 0, and another round of 0s, and another round of 0s. Okay. So the only thing that we can know for certain right now is that this 2 is touching a chain of 2, and that means it's either going to be the left in the center or the right in the center, which means the center is definitely blue. And that means if this chain of 3 here is starting from the center, it's either going to be this one's the end and it goes 2, 3, or this is the middle and it goes 2, 3, or this is the other end and it goes 2, 3, which entirely eliminates the cell above, and that's a 0, so we can get rid of all that. Now this curly 3 is only touching 3 cells, so we can solve that. This one has a friend now, so we can get rid of these. That one is only touching 1, this 0 touching nothing. Right, now we have some pretty simple solving ahead of us. This one has a friend. 3 connected when it's only touching 3 is simple enough. This 2 has one on either side, which eliminates those, and that. What else do we have going on? 2 could be touching either. 2 could be touching either. Right, what am I missing? This one here can only be touching 1, so it must be this, which then eliminates those. That means this 2 changed to this, means that 1 already has a friend. And this 2 gets a pair, that 1 has one, this 2 only has one remaining option. That fills out our left-hand side, even though we had to use a clue on the right to work our way across. This 3 is now only touching 3 tiles, so we can complete that, and that completes this 3 above it, eliminating that there. This 2 has a pair, so we can eliminate those. 2 with curly brackets and 1 friend means their next friend is directly adjacent. We can get rid of those. This 2 only has 2 cells touching it, so it must be that. This 1 is done. That 1 is done. This 3 has 4 cells, but this 2 only has 2 cells. We can get rid of that. We have 2 cells remaining, 1 and 2. I hope you're following along, because I'm not exactly going slowly through these. When the logic gets more complicated, particularly in the sequels, there'll be a lot more plotting stuff out. Right, let's start here. This is a curly 3 touching 5 cells, so the 1 in the center of those 5 must be a piece. And if this 2 is touching 2 cells that touch, it's either going to be the one on the left or the one on the right, which eliminates the one in the lower right. Now that 1 needs a single tile touching it, which is this. That means this 2 has a pair accounted for. Another curly 2 next to it carries on this line. That 1 has 1 associated with it, and zeros are easy to carry on. Let's see, this 3 over here can either be the one below it, or the one to the lower right, or the one to the upper left. It cannot be this one. And that eliminates the rest of that. We have something similar going on here. This 3 with a 5 must have the one in the center. Equally, the 3 below it with a 5 must have one in the center. That means that this 3 can either have that tile or this tile, but never that tile. The 0 solves that for itself, and then we get the same story there. This 3 touching 5, we know all about it. That's going to be 1. This 3 touching 4, when we have 1 solved tile, we definitely know that these 2 have to be, because it will either be a chain of 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. This 2 touching 1, its neighbours will have to be the second in that chain, which means we can eliminate the ones that aren't possible connections. And that 0 does a lot of the solving for us. This 2 is only touching 2 tiles. That 3 has 3 friends. That 3 has 2 more tiles needed, but they must be linked, so that's those. Then down here, what do we have left? So it could be either of these. We have 3 tiles remaining. That could be important, especially because this has to be touching 1, which means this 2 must either be this pair or this pair, but it will never be this tile. That means this 1 can come to that. This 1 is accounted for. That 1 also accounted for. Leaves us those 2 at the bottom. On to 4, 5. So we've seen curly brackets before. We know that there are 5 touching, and we know that hyphens mean that they are not touching, or that they are not all continuous. It could be 3 in 1, it could be 2 pairs on a 4. But with curly brackets around a 5, we know that all 5 must touch, and when you don't give us any other options, that becomes easy. Now there's 3 on this out of 4, but they must not be in a continuous line, and when we already have 2, we know the third one can't be it, so it must be that, and we can eliminate this one here. These two 2s on the right are each respectively touching 2. That means we have a pair of 3s, each touching 2, that can't create 3 in a row. So it must be this eliminating that, and this eliminating that. That solves this 4 for us. This 2 is touching 1. We know that the second one must not be directly next to it. And this 3 is now touching 4 tiles. And we know that the 3 must not be in a continuous row. So it could be 1, 2, and 3. It could be 1, 2, and 3. Or it could be 1, 2, and 3. But what this definitely tells us is that that is 1. And then working with the 3 directly next to the one we just looked at, these 3 can't be 3 in a row. So we can eliminate that tile and finish that in a kind of hazard symbol. This 3 needs a third one. This 2 is already accounted for with the 2 on the left and the right, so we can get rid of those. That 3 needs a third, that 4 has 4, that 2 has 2. This 2 needs 2 that don't touch, which is simple enough. That 2 is solved for. What else do we have going on? This 3 needs 3 that aren't all touching, which means the opposing ends of a chain of 4 must participate. And then that means this 2 is solved. We can get rid of that. This 3 needs a third. What else do we know? This 3 over here on its own is only touching 3 tiles, which solves for that 3 not being in a row. That 3 has 3. And that puzzle is finished as well. So that is 4-5, unlocking 5-1 through 5-5. Alright, so it looks like we're putting together everything that we've learnt now. To start us off, this column of 0. Simple enough. We can carry that 0 on along. Right, we can't possibly know which of these 2 is 1 or those 2 is 1, so let's come over here and look for another start to the puzzle. This 2 is only touching 2 cells, so they must be blue. That means each of the 1s is currently touching a single cell, so we can eliminate the 1s next to that. Each of those 2s is touching 1 cell, and this guy at the bottom has 3 total, but they can't be in a chain, so it must be that one. This 3 now has 3 accounted for it, so we can eliminate all the other cells it touches. This one has a friend, so we can get rid of those. We can get rid of that as well. This 3 needs 3 in a row, so that's 1, 2, 3. This 2 is accounted for. This 3 needs a third. It needs a third. I clicked the wrong button because I always eventually forget which side of the mouse I should be clicking for the action I wanted, even when my brain has already verbalized the correct answer. This 2 has 2 touching it, so we can eliminate those and that. This 2 only has 2 neighbors, so that's blue. We can eliminate this, which eliminates that, and that, and that, and 1. Clears us over to a 0, and more zeros. 2 in a chain is going to be at least this 1. This one only has 1 neighbor, so this cannot be it. That 2 chain resolves. Those must be consecutive, those must not, these must not. That is a third one for you, and as soon as we've done that, we can see this vertical line, we now have 2 within it of these 2 required, so we can eliminate those 4 cells. 0 there, 0 here, 1 there. So when you get lots of moves all together, the sound design really just pops off. Now, 2 not touching means that's not going to be it. And 2 not touching means that's not going to be it. But this 2 needs a second. This 1 needs a single. That 2 has 2. This 2 needs another, and this 4 needs 2 more, which solves for this. That 2 has 1, 0, 0, 1 here. That 3 only touches 3. Two that don't touch must be the opposing ends, and 5 to finish. Okay, lots going on here. Let's start with the known cell, and we know that either the cell above it or the cell below it will complete a chain of 2, so we can eliminate these 3 cells. Zeros solve for themselves, gives us 1 there. What else do we know? Gosh, not a lot at the moment. This column has 5 blues out of 6 total cells. That doesn't help us right now. Oh, this 2. This 2 is only touching 2. That's fine. So then this one has 1 accounted for. We can get rid of that and that. And this 2 has 2 consecutive, which is 1 and 2. Eliminates these at the bottom. We can clear that clue. This 2 needs a second, which is going to be that, clearing this. That 1 touches that. That 1 touches that. This 2 now has 2 in its vertical column, so we can eliminate these 3. This 1 has 1 accounted for, so we can eliminate that. These 2 must not touch in this vertical column, so this cannot be a piece. Three that do not touch. I don't think we have enough to go on from that, because it could be 1, 3, 4, or it could be 2, 4, 5. So there's not enough there, I believe. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, vertically here we already have 2 accounted for, so we can clear this and that. Doesn't really help us too much, does it? Oh, nope, that's entirely clues we've dealt with already. We need a second here. We need 5 out of that, but that currently contains 6. We need 3 out of this, but that currently contains 6. This needs 2 that are not in a row. Okay, here's a good piece of logic. This column must have 2. There is 1 here, and this 1 needs a pair. Now we can't know which of these 2 it is, but we do know it's not that one. Then we can walk these zeros along. And now that we've done that, we can see that this 5 only has 5 yellow cells remaining, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 has a friend, so we can eliminate those. And that means this clue is solved. This guy needs 3. There are only 3 remaining in that vertical column. This one needs 2. That's solved. Now, we don't know these yet, but we'll be able to figure out those probably by knowing the number of tiles remaining after we finish the rest of the puzzle. So what else can we do? We can do 1 here, and with 3 non-consecutive, we can probably work with that now. 1, 2, 3, but it could be 1, 2, 3. It doesn't help me as much as I thought it might. Okay, but we can work with this 3 here. We must use the 2 ends of a 4-piece when we have a 3 that does not have 3 in a row. And that means that the ones above and below on this 2 vertical cannot be the second. So what does that give us? That gives us the following. This 2 here must be touching either... must be touching the one on the left and one of the 2 on the right. Because in this whole column, there's only one out of these 4 cells. And this 2 needs one of these 2 cells to be one of those in order to fill this clue. So we can eliminate this tile and this tile. And we know that both of these can't be blue, but one of them will be, which means this one is going to touch one of those, so we can get rid of those 2 on the right hand side as well. That means the 3 is only touching 3. And that means this 2 is touching a second, eliminates that. We can kill that clue. 2 here finishes that. This 0 is touching nil, touching nil, touching nil. This 5 now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eliminating that clue. What do we have left? This 0 doesn't touch anything. This 1 touches a singular. This 2, vertical, now has 2 non-consecutive tiles. We can eliminate that. This 2 needs a second tile. It's this one. We can eliminate that. This 2 needs 2 tiles. This 3 needs a third tile that is non-consecutive to the first 2. That means we can eliminate this. That gets that, eliminates this, and we have 2 tiles remaining, which are the only 2 remaining options. The solve's now getting a lot more slow. That's another 22 minutes and we've solved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 puzzles with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more. So let's do 5, 3, and then we'll save the remaining puzzles for the last part. Starting with our zeros. Really, they could just give you all of these tiles and pretend the 0 was never there, but hey. This 2 needs a second consecutive piece, which is that, eliminating those. This 2 now only touching 2 tiles. This 3 has 1 accounted for on one of its caps, and then needs 2 more that are not consecutive, so we know that must be blue. That means this 2 has 2 touching, so we can eliminate this. Let's see, what else do we have? This 3 here is only touching 3 cells, so it must be 1, 2, 3, finishing that 3 off there. This 2 with only 3 tiles needs to not have consecutive ones, so that's always going to be the top and bottom and not the middle. That 2 is now solved for, which solves for all of that. This one has a friend. 3 consecutive eliminates this. That 4 has 4 touching it. This one only has 1 option, which means this 2 is solved for. That 2 is solved for. That 3 is done. So we've almost finished that left-hand side of the puzzle. Right. This 3, we can't know which of those. This 4, we can't know which of those. This 3, we can't know which of these. So over to the right-hand side of the puzzle now. We have a 2 on 3 yellows, and they must be consecutive. So the middle one is going to be a tile. And the 2 above it, knowing that this is one of its 2, will either be the left and right neighbor, which means we can eliminate the 3 above. This 1 at the top is only touching 1 cell. This 3 touching 4 must be touching the end caps, and then there'll be one of the 2 in the middle, but that does solve our 2 consecutive here, so we can get rid of that and put another one on there. That leaves this 2 consecutive to be solved. That 2 is now already accounted for. That 1 has a friend. This one needs a friend. That 2 is going to eliminate this piece here, which means our consecutive round of 5 is finished. 3 there, top left, top right, bottom, all sorted. And so is that 2. Right, what else do we have? That 2 is already touching 2, as is that 2. 3 in a row there for that. This 2 here has 1 behind it and then only 1 open spot. That solves for a couple of the 1s around it. This 2 on a trio must have its end caps and not the one in the middle. That 4 is already completed for. 2 there solves for that. That 4 has 4 around it. That 3 needs a third. This 3 needs a third. This 2 has 2 2s. And that 3 needs a third. Now just what remains in the center here. This 2 has top and bottom. We can eliminate those. This 2 has left and right. We can eliminate these. This 3 needs 2 more, but they must not all be consecutive, so we can give that an end cap, which means this 3 is accounted for. That 2 at the bottom now has a pair. This 3 only has 1 more open spot to fill its third. This 2 is touching 2. This 2 is touching 1 and a second. This 2 is touching 2. This 2 already accounted for. That 1 needs a buddy. We have 1 remaining. This 2 has 2. Not too bad going. So, put me onto our menu screen. We have unlocked the top 5 puzzles, but join me next time where we will continue on with 5-4 and then probably finish up Hexcells, and then after that we will promptly go on to Hexcells Plus. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you're enjoying this video, please do consider liking or hitting that subscribe button for other puzzly goodness later. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.